Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to cut layers in a cake. Now this cake has quite a dome on it, a little bigger than typical. We're not going to take it all the way down because we're going to have a lot of waste, but we're going to take a good amount off. If you were working in like a really fine dining environment, or you really needed it to be perfect, you would have no choice but to cut it. But for the purposes of not having too much waste, I'm just going to take a little bit off. But we are going to save that. Don't throw it in the trash. There's so many uses for cake scraps, so don't ever throw cake scraps away. Now I have a serrated knife. It's pretty sturdy and it's a straight edge knife. I have a turntable and I have my cake that's cooled on a cardboard circle, cake circle. So I'm going to cut this cake into 2 layers because it's not too high. So we're going to get 2 layers out of each of these cakes. So it'll be a total of 4 layers. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of the top. You're going to want to hold your knife in your right hand, if you're right-handed, and you're going to want to always keep your knife level with the table. So I'm not going to saw this way or this way. I'm going to saw back and forth level with the table. Now as I'm sawing, I'm going to be spinning my cake. And I'm not really putting pressure on the cake. I'm not pushing in while I'm sawing. I'm going back and forth in a back and forth motion while turning the cake. That's going to enable that the cake gets a nice level layer. So first thing I'm going to do again is I'm going to take a little bit off of here. Okay, spinning it. See how my knife is always the same level, parallel to the table. Alright, so we have some cake. Alright, now if you make a little mistake, you can always trim a little off if you need to. Okay, now what I'm going to do, just so it's better for your view, I'm going to flip the cake over. Okay? So I would probably put that layer in the center of the cake once I cut it, the underneath layer. I'll show you guys. Alright, so we're going to cut this layer here in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the cake and I'm going to go down to eye level and I'm going to divide the cake in half. Now if you wanted to cut it into thirds, you would divide it into thirds. If you were doing fourths, you do fourths. Now I'm going to keep my knife, again, parallel, and I'm going to saw and turn. Now I'm really not putting pressure on the cake. If you start to put too much pressure on the cake, what will happen is your blade will start to turn and you won't get a level cut. Now once you get all the way around, you should meet up on the other side. Now this takes a lot of practice, so don't be too hard on yourself first time. Okay, so I'm just sawing back and forth until I went all the way through. Okay. And then you're going to take one of your cardboards, so you're going to need a few cardboards handy, and I'm going to slide that under, and you have your layer. Now I have another layer here. Okay? So we can use that as a layer. So I would probably put that upside down and have the underneath part that's a little teeny bit rounded on the bottom. Okay? So what I usually do is just stack them like that. So we're going to do the second one. Same thing. We're going to go around. I'm going to trim it a little. Okay. And you always want to wear gloves. It's a finished product. I'm going to flip it. Oh, there's paper on this one. You always want to make sure there's not paper stuck to the bottom of the cake. That's important. Okay, now I'm going to go in half. Round. Okay. I'm going to do a little faster here. Okay, all the way across. Alright, slide, there you have another layer. So we have 4 layers. So I can take my chocolate buttercream and I can make myself a 4-layer chocolate cake. Alright, now don't stop recording yet. So these crumbs, what you can do is you can get yourself a half sheet pan with parchment. You can crumble them up a little bit with your hands. Pop them in an oven, maybe 325, let them dry out a little bit. Crumble them, let them cool, crumble them a little more. Toast them a little bit longer so you'll have like crispy little crumbly crumbs. They'll be great for the size of cakes. Also, you can make cake pops. rum balls, there's lots of things you can make.